Dr. Neil Boumpani, and welcome to my channel, Your Child's Education. Today I'm going to offer a short intro into my website and my videos. First, however, before my short intro, I want to present a concept that I will often repeat. I must talk about something that continues to keep us divided in so many ways. This is the concept of condemnation before investigation. Let me ask this. Are you the kind of person who will simply dismiss what another person might say because it does not align with your personal, spiritual, or political beliefs? Maybe you've encountered someone who shuts another person down before that person even explains anything. Maybe you've done this yourself. So many people are blinded by their ideology that anything the other side says must be wrong. Very few people seem to listen to what others have to say. Almost nobody is willing to take the time to consider another idea, let alone take the time to find out if that other idea is valid or not. I believe that if we can talk and listen, we might not be as far apart as we seem to be at this point in time. So what kind of person are you? I hope you'll give me the chance to share my thoughts with you before you decide anything about me. Okay, what's my site about? Parents everywhere are just waking up to the travesty that is the American public school system. The woke ideology that pushes gender confusion on our youngest children, along with the introduction of untested ideas like critical race theory, has finally brought parents to the realization that we have educational problems. Well, parents today have legitimate concerns about what their children are being taught, but the harm that has led us to this point in history has been growing for decades. Back in the 1980s, the Department of Education was discussing how to deal with the problems being raised by conservative Christian families. And they came up with programs on how to placate these families with empty assurances. The parents raising issues today, however, include parents from a diverse background, some of various faiths, others with no faith at all. These parents are no longer placated as they have been in the past, and now they're labeled even as terrorists, well, at least by the present administration. What parents do not see, however, is that the most recent issues in education are just a smokescreen to the real problems in education. I'm a retired educator with around 40 years of experience. I noticed that the direction in which education was headed was wrong in my very first year of teaching. Over the years, I've tried to bring issues to the attention of other educators and even parents. I was usually brushed off as an alarmist or told that my standards were ridiculous. I've offered ideas to help our lowest achieving students and even volunteered my time to help them implement these ideas. I was either ignored or met with all the red tape problems that the school would face. Well, we have to run this through the faculty senate and we have to do this. I didn't understand it. I have taught on every grade level from 6th grade through college, and I have watched as year after year, students came to college with weaker and weaker skills than the previous class had, and it's getting worse. When I retired in May of 2022, I decided that I would try and make a difference. Over the past months, I've been researching, working on articles, and setting up my website. You can find my website at www.yourchildseducation.com. I have a number of articles already posted as I continue to write, and at the same time create videos for platforms like YouTube. All of my posts have comment areas for readers to leave feedback. I also have a discussion area where registered users can raise issues about education and others can offer suggestions. As you will read in every article I write and every video I post, I urge parents to get their children out of the public schools as soon as possible, especially if your children are very young. I'm very aware of that, and it pains me that some parents can't do this. It's almost impossible. However, maybe with the help of other educators, people in the community, well, I hope in some way to help these parents to find ways to offset the nonsense that their children are being taught in school, as well as help them supplement what their children are not learning in the public schools. I'm going to demonstrate how our schools are indoctrinating our children to believe that the only way to achieve things like equity, social justice, and other equally improperly titled ideas can only be through Marxism. Our society has been tricked into thinking that government control of health and welfare and other, issues is a kind of quote-unquote democratic socialism. But if you read Marx, he explains that socialism is the first step towards communism. You can't convince people to be communists, but you can convince them that socialism will help solve some of their issues, and then maybe more down the line. Well, the only reason that many European countries have not gone to full Marxism, I believe, and I will explain this, is because of the United States. Marxism, global Marxism, can never compete with any true free capitalist society. Now, the leaders of both of our parties and the media have been attacking capitalism as an evil that they see has to be ended. The reason many of our people are not prospering under capitalism has a lot to do with the government that has not allowed us to take part in it. Government regulations and things that have held people back. This is what your children have been learning for the past 30 years or so, maybe even longer when one really looks at the seeds of this thing being presented. But for this video, again, I promise to be brief. Let's look at a few statistics. Back in 2013, CBS in New York reported that 80% of students leaving the public high schools of New York City needed remedial classes before they can enter the city college's community college system. That was 10 years ago. According to a report in the Huffington Post in 2022, 54% of adults in the United States have a literacy level below 6th grade. The cost to our country for this literacy is estimated at $2.2 trillion per year, and that comes out of the pockets of taxpayers or, again, like this, our administration has been doing, just borrowing money on our children's future. In a 2015 article from the Intellectual Takeout website, a statistic was quoted from the Nation's Report Card, which was produced by the National Assessment of Educational Progress. This statistic cited that only 12% of high school seniors can be considered proficient in American history. That's American history. In a 2019 article from the Hechinger Report, Jackie Mader reported that 70% of Mississippi adults do not know enough history to pass a United States citizenship exam. What about math skills? 2017, a study conducted by the National Center for Educational Statistics reported that in the areas of numerical literacy and numeracy, the results were lower than the previous 2014 study, even though the high school graduation rate was increasing. August of 2021, the Cato Institute conducted a study suggested that most Americans had a hard time grasping big numbers and stated this fact as bad news for public safety. How could we address the problem of our deficit? People can't understand $30 trillion. So, on my site, I'm going to strive to help parents understand how government programs have consistently helped to dumb down our educational system time and time again. I will explain how your children are being robbed of an education, but still being indoctrinated into believing that Marxism is the answer to the nation's ills. Time and time again, I will suggest very strongly that you get your child out of the public school system, or at least find ways of combating what your children are taught and how to help them with what they're not taught. There are elected officials from both the right and the left of the ideological spectrum who have contributed to the demise of our educational system. No one party can be blamed. When was the last time you heard someone on either party stand up and demand that something be done about the low level of literacy among our high school graduates? They never talk about that. And if they do talk about educational issues, they always need more money. Throw more money at it. As of now, we're spending over $13,000 a year per student in the United States. Homeschools do it on less than $1,000 a year. What about critical race theory and teaching sex kindergartens? What are they? I'm going to show that they're just smoke screens. They're smoke screens hiding problems of the school, hiding what our leaders are doing with all these trillions of dollars that they're spending, and we're not seeing, any results from this money. Get your children out of the public schools now while you can. All right. Thank you. This has been an introduction to my channel and my website. Please feel free to email me on my website. Thank you very much.